people have trusted Olympic than any other brand since 1938. Home begins with an Olympic finish.
Welcome back to Hannity and Colmes. NAACP Chief Julian Bond kicked off the organization's annual convention with controversy. Take a listen.
It can be said that Katrina, like lynching, not only destroyed the work of generations in a single day, but is resulting in a deliberate effort to dispossess black landowners.
Bond followed that comment with more harsh criticism of the president. The convention also raised some eyebrows with symbolic burial of the N-word, which some are criticizing as hypocritical. Joining us now is the former NAACP Deputy Director and son of Julian Bond, Michael Bond, and Bucknell University professor Dr. James Peterson. Dr. Peterson, first of all, let me go to you since you're the other side here. Do you have a problem with any of the things that were said here? I mean, isn't Katrina fair game and the lack of response of this administration? Isn't that something
absolutely.
That's worthy of being talked about in an NAACP convention?
It absolutely is. I'm going to be very, very complicated here and say that there are some aspects of this particular story that I agree with and some aspects that I don't. On the one hand, I think that most of what he's saying about Katrina, and I was actually in New Orleans and I had a chance to actually tour a bit of the city and see what was going on there just this past weekend at the Essence Fest. While I was there, I would have to say that most of what he's saying about Katrina is pretty accurate. Now, on the other hand, my sense about this burying the N-word seems to me that it's kind of a misplaced directive by the NAACP.
Why is that?
Well, because I think they need to stay focused on issues like Katrina and issues of poverty and homicide and health care and other things that are much more important to the black community and the American community in general, rather than trying to sort of use these kind of publicity.
You don't think the way language is used and using language as a way to get attention for the other work you might be doing? It could be a loss leader. I mean, get them in the store. The idea that this is something which is very prominent in terms of how we just had a segment on language using the word hoe, and that has become a big issue with IBIS and now with TMZ.com.
And listen, I have to be honest with you. I've commented a lot about language, but my sense is that for the NAACP to be focused on burying the N-word as a way of addressing self-respect or self-hatred in the black community is a little bit misdirected. They should be focused on the issues.
But
education,
they are. You just mentioned Katrina. You're talking about one of many things they're doing. Michael, the fact is, if all you were doing was the N-word, people could say it's superficial, but that's one of many things that came up at this convention, some of which we've just highlighted.
Right, and that's going to be one of even more things that are going to be talked about during the week as they gather in Detroit. The NAACP, has over 2,300 branches. They have almost 500,000 members across this country. And one of the great things about the NAACP, and one of the things that the NAACP has often been criticized about, is that it is so big and that it does bring forth so many different opinions of people from all across this country. And whether it's having a ceremonial burial of the N-word, which I think in this case is in this day and time is absolutely appropriate, or whether or not it is focused on issues like Katrina or voter disenfranchisement.
One of the other big issues, Dr. Peterson,
they focus on.
One of the other big issues they brought up is the Supreme Court, which just ruled that schools can't even voluntarily use race as a factor to kind of decide on the makeup, the composition of their student body, something with a real big departure from Brown versus Board of Education. That's a significant issue, isn't it?
It absolutely is. We're regressing.
Dr. Peterson.
Yes, it absolutely is an important issue, and we are regressing. We need to stay focused on those issues. Again, I don't have any problem with the platform that is political and addressing the structural challenges in our community. I don't even have a problem with necessarily burying the N-word. I just don't think it's as significant as some of these other issues that we're talking about.
Hey, guys, it's Rich Lowry. Thanks so much for being with us. Michael, let me hone in on the word lynching, because I think this is important. The word lynching means a racially motivated, deliberate act of murder. And that is not what Katrina was. Katrina was a natural disaster. It was a terrible thing. It captured the public imagination. Tens of billions of dollars are being poured down there to try to rebuild those devastated areas. This isn't like a lynching at all.
Well, I would respectfully disagree with you. I think it is the act of Katrina being a natural disaster is not a lynching, but the languishing that the people of New Orleans and in that region are experiencing with the slow and almost, just the lack of an earnest response from this government is appalling. And to characterize it as a lynching or whether or not it's a slow torture on the rack, maybe it's perhaps more accurate. that's what these people are feeling. That's what they're experiencing from our United States government, that is supposed to protect us and to step in during these cases of emergencies and make sure and to set things right in that community. And as the professor pointed out from his firsthand experience last week, that is not happening.
Well, let me push you on this, Michael. Let me push you on this, because I think you're really using this word loosely. Last year, about 130 black men were murdered in New Orleans. Would you call that a lynching?
No, what I would call that is a lack of public safety that results from many socioeconomic factors and is a tragedy with every single death.
Why is that not a lynching where black men are actually being murdered tragically by other black men, but the slow rebuilding effort is a lynching? I think it's all about politics. It's just about slamming the Bush administration.
I'm going to answer you. Black on black murder is not a lynching, given the definition of lynching that you just read over the air. It's a lynching because
neither is the Katrina response.
For the response is white, and the people who are victims are black.
James, Michael,
we
thank you both very much.
Why I was describing.
We got a part company. It's John McCain's